So you've decided you're moving to Casper. Well, before you book that moving truck, there are 7 things that you have got to know before moving here. Let's dive into it. Now, coming from Southern California, I naively thought that I knew wind because we would get the Santa Ana windstorms every year. But let me tell you, I was wrong. So the wind here in Casper is a beast all of its own. We actually here in Wyoming have the most blowovers in the entire nation. Our I-80 and I-25 get strong crosswinds that cause these problems. And Wyoming has the wind corridor, and Casper is part of it, along with Cody and Cheyenne. And actually, our Casper's Outer Drive, or otherwise known as Wyoming Boulevard, is a part of the most blowover concerns in the entire state. And wind gusts on Outer Drive have been clocked at 70 to 80 per mile wind gusts at times. So the wind here is the real deal. In fact, I can remember that when we first moved here, it was in the middle of a windstorm and we needed to get groceries. So we went out and we actually had to wait in our car in between wind gusts just to get out without our door feeling like it was going to fly off. Now, we were able to get what we needed and we were able to get through that day, but it was a reality check of the wind that we were going to be dealing with from there on out. So be prepared for the wind. The second thing that we need to talk about before you think about moving here is the snow. So Casper on average receives around 70 to 80 inches of snow per year. But this year we actually received over 120 inches of snow due to us being in a La Nina weather pattern. This did set records, a 30-year record actually, and normally Casper doesn't shut down when snow comes. Life continues on as usual. But this year, because of the amount of snow that we got, there were actually 3 declared snow days that stopped the school buses and shut down a lot of businesses. This was just kind of an anomaly year, but Casper on average does get its fair amount of snow. So if you don't like the snow, you may just want to rethink moving here. Now, I would be disingenuous if I didn't also talk about driving in the snow. Now, Casper does do a really good job of managing our roads with keeping the plows running when the snow comes. However, it still is a learning curve if you're coming from a state where you don't experience snow.
Watch out, someone's coming in hot. There you go.
And our first year here, we decided to put all-terrain tires on our vehicles, and those did a pretty good job, although I did feel like I had a few near misses. That being said, it was suggested to us to upgrade to Blizzak tires, which are designated snow tires, and that was a game changer. Let me tell you, for all of the snow that we got this year, the Blizzaks did incredibly well. I felt like I had really good traction on the road. I didn't have any near misses. So honestly, invest in snow tires if you are thinking about moving here. It will be a lifesaver. The third thing that you have got to be aware of before moving here is the cell service. Now, Casper proper does have pretty good cell service through all of the major carriers. However, once you get out into the outskirts of town and even some of the country roads, your cell service is going to become quite spotty. In fact, there's one particular stretch of road, if you're leaving Casper, headed towards Salt Lake on Highway 220, just past Independence Rock, where there is probably 30 to 40 minutes of no cell service. So with that being said, it is incredibly important for you to always make sure that when you are traveling within Wyoming, you want to make sure that you have an emergency kit on you, extra water, snacks, a flashlight, and some blankets, just in case you get stranded on the side of the road with no cell service and you have to wait a bit to flag someone down for help.
Help! Help somebody, please!
So the fourth thing that you need to be aware of before moving here is the internet situation. Now, Casper does have many different internet providers, but unfortunately, Wyoming as a whole only ranks about 43rd in the nation for internet coverage. So we definitely have room to improve. But that being said, we do have sufficient internet offered through Spectrum, Mountain West Technologies, and CenturyLink. And we are soon going to be adding Blue Peak to that provider list, and they will be adding fiber internet. So we are definitely getting better. It's just going to take time as we are still considered, traditionally speaking, a secondary market. The next thing that you have to be aware of before moving here, and our fifth item, is that Casper loves dogs. So it is going to be like commonplace to see dogs everywhere once you move to Casper. You will see dogs in the backs of trucks. You will see dogs hanging their head out of windows in cars. You will see people casually walking their dogs around town. You might even see them in businesses. Dogs are just a part of everyday life because they really are part of the family.
Who did this? Blue, sit down. No, you are a bad boy. Blue, stop. Nobody. Blue, listen. Blue.
The sixth thing that you need to be aware of before moving to Casper is the wildlife. And by that I mean we're practically tripping over it. Whether it be the cows, the wild horses, the deer, the antelope, the wild turkeys trotting through town, or even just the geese that make their way out of the river and start wandering onto land. We just have a ton of wildlife. We've even had reports of bears, moose, and mountain lions traveling their way through Casper. And it's not uncommon to hear of individuals throughout town talking about how they almost hit different wildlife because they're so prevalent. And I know myself, I've even encountered deer, antelope, and turkey on some of my runs. And so I've just learned it's best to give them space. With that being said, if wildlife is not something that you enjoy dealing with on the regular, then you may want to reconsider your move to Casper. Now, the seventh and final thing that you need to be aware of before moving to Casper are the weeds. Now, one of the perks to living in a cooler climate is that for 6 months out of the year, our lawns are either dormant from the cold or have snow on them, so you're not really worrying about having to take care of your yard. That being said, when spring does come, the weeds are out in full force. Us being at a higher elevation means that there's less atmosphere for those sun rays to push through. And basically Casper is the perfect example of what photosynthesis looks like. The weeds are growing. So you should prepare, if you're moving here, to spend 1 to 2 weekends per month during the spring and summer weeding your lawn. Now, you can hire one of our several local lawn care services to spray for the weeds. It doesn't entirely eliminate the weeds, but it does definitely reduce the amount of weeds that you will experience, and it saves time as well as your back. So those are the 7 things that you need to be aware of before moving to Casper. If this video hasn't given you second thoughts, I would love to help you relocate here. Please don't hesitate to give me a call, text, or email, and we will see you in the next one.